get something done other than wasting our tax dollars sending a stupid space shuttle into space every couple of months? Or giving away to other, fighting wars in other countries? Show us you can protect America first. Prove to us you can get something done, like securing our borders and enforcing an orderly queue into this country. We have Mexican military incursions. I'll just briefly go over that. Michael Chertoff says that the 200-something incursions across our borders over the last couple of years, just innocent mistakes. The guys who just didn't know where the border was. I've caught them upwards of 3 miles inside our borders running recon missions for human smugglers and drug dealers because they make good money off of it too. It's not a real glamorous position to be in the Mexican military. They're carrying automatic weapons. They support the drug cartels. They're the same. There's your national security. We have foreign military assisting human smugglers and drug dealers in violating the sovereignty of the borders of the United States. Five of the last seven police officers in Phoenix alone killed in the line of duty were killed at the hands of foreign nationals in our community. Recently, Nick Earthley just stopped a couple of jaywalkers. Before he knew it, he had 2 rounds from a 9mm through his head and he was dead, leaving 3 children behind. Then hijacked a car with a guy inside of it. Unfortunately, the Phoenix Police Department saved the taxpayers a lot of money for adjudicating his case in court. And they exterminated this heinous criminal. This is happening. 80% of Americans agree. U.S. citizens, our borders must be secured to stop the violent criminal drug cartels engaged in human smugglers along both of our borders. And let me tell you, we've got a growing problem along our northern border. We were just invited by tribal leaders from a Native American tribe in northern Montana, of all places, to come and help them stop the drug dealers and the human smugglers that are now bringing people across their reservation in the middle of nowhere in Montana. We met with them recently last month with Border Patrol, and they're going to allow us onto their territory to help be vigilant and observant and report activity to their law enforcement on their reservation and to allow Border Patrol in there, because it used just to be to them, and they were concerned, it just used to be those BC bug dealers that were coming across. You know, and they weren't committing crimes, they weren't leaving trash, they weren't destroying the environment. Now they're concerned as citizens of the United States with the national security risk when they're seeing groups of 30, 40, 50 people coming through their property, leaving in their wake trash and environmental damage, and they're concerned about the national security risk. We've got to do everything we can, okay, to protect citizens from foreign terrorists. And I'm sorry, any person who enters this country post-September 11 with the intent of committing a crime should be considered a terrorist. Talk to the families of the young women who've been raped. Talk to the families whose children have been molested by illegal aliens in this nation from all over the world. Those are victims. That's terrorism. MS-13, other gangs that are in this country comprise almost exclusively of foreign nationals who violated our borders, are terrorizing communities across this country. Do your research. Has our activism been successful? Yeah. I think the 2 most important things of activism that have exposed the extent and scope of this problem have been U.S. citizens lawfully taking lawn chairs to the border and setting up vigilance on the border and exposing this problem and assisting Border Patrol and providing humanitarian aid. That awakened many people in the country. And then the marches in our streets 2 years ago of hundreds of thousands of people who showed blatant contempt for our rule of law and our culture in this country, flying flags of foreign nations demanding for a double standard in a foreign language, really got the attention of the American people. That's why comprehensive immigration reform was defeated. That's why the DREAM Act was defeated. Because Americans aren't going to stand for this anymore. Taxpayers aren't going to stand for it. We need order. And some people are joking about this. You know, and shame on the media It's intellectually dishonest for anybody to make light of a deadly issue where people are dying and being exploited and abused. Our activism has been extremely successful. And I appreciate your activism on campus. I appreciate your demeanor and your willingness to listen. I wish some of the other people outside had an opportunity to do so, although I don't think they would have been so willing to exchange ideas. I mean, what kind of country is it when we have warnings posted in national parks, not warning us of the dangers of the mountain lions and the bears, but of the armed smuggling, drug dealers? This is on U.S. soil. That is just unacceptable. Now, enforcement is working. It's going to be uncomfortable, but we're going after the criminals. Unfortunately, as much as we've seen the workplace raids, I think we need to go after the employers too, and the heads of the corporations that are making egregious profits. I want to see one of these CEOs or presidents of one of these packaging plants that have been abusing and exploiting workers. I want to see them carry off in handcuffs as much as I want to see the because it is despicable and it's un-American for corporations to say that we can exploit a group of people for their cheap labor, not pay them a living wage, not provide them support and protection, and then they rationalize it as, well, it's better than where they came from. That is not the America that I think we want. So it's happening. Enforcement is working. Because of our efforts, Border Patrol agents had about 8,000 agents along the southern border in 2002. We now have almost 20,000. We're making record numbers of apprehensions. The border is much more secure than it was. It is still unacceptable for Border Patrol and Michael Chertoff to tell us that in 2002, we were catching 1 in 10. Now we're catching 1 in 4. It's so much better. You have to worry about those 3 out of every 4 that are getting through, that we're still concerned about. But hey, President Bush and many people in our Congress and many people in our community think these are just good, hard-working entrepreneurs. That's the way the free market works. There's a demand, here's the supplies. So what's the problem? Enforcement is working. Unfortunately, I am totally against building fences. I wish that we didn't have to do it. I find it just unsettling and un-American that we have to build fences. We shouldn't have to do that. However, we've been forced to. I would much rather see 50,000 U.S. military soldiers on our borders helping Mexico eradicate the country's illegal smugglers and protecting this country than building fences. But unfortunately, our government and the government of Mexico has left us no choice but the people to demand fences. And we got those fences. And they're working in certain areas. Unfortunately, in some areas they're being set up to fail. This is the site of the 2005 NACO line, where the Minutemen Project first held its 30-day sit-in, its protest on the border. This area was completely wide open. I used to sit in this area every night with members of our vigilance team, our neighborhood watch team, and reporting 3 groups of 300, 400, 500 people every single night coming through this area. Nobody comes through this area anymore. The American people have seen results. And I don't call it the government fence, I call it the taxpayer fence, because remember, everything the government does, they do with your money. But at least we directed and spent some of our money in the ways that we felt were important. Minutemen fences are being erected. We have a political action committee. I'm going to briefly go through this. Who are the Minutemen and what can we do? And more importantly, what do they not do?